What is going on, SoFi fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to give you a good breakdown of what's happening in the market, the red flags that are now popping up within the economy, and what that means for SoFi and its investors. Before I get into any of that, making sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. With that though, let's get right to it. Live tickers going at the very bottom, currently down 2.5%, give or take. 12.5 million for volume, so that's definitely a very good sign. A lot of volume getting in. 46.3 is the average, and that is a 6-month average, and 2.6 million shares being purchased by institutions on the secondary market. So in general, despite us going down and being red on another day, institutions are definitely backing up the bus. So like I said, on the secondary market, a lot of institutions purchasing. On the dark pool, it is the exact same thing. So a lot of big money getting in within the first 1 hour of the trading day. You can even see $1.6 million one being done. So again, clearly there's a lot of value in SoFi, but unfortunately we are now in the $5 range, which ultimately that does mean we are getting a little bit closer to that reverse stock split. Again, nobody really wants to talk about that, so I'm not going to really bring that up, but I have done quite a few videos on that. In general though, there's a lot of red flags that are now popping up within the economy. More specifically today, there was housing prices, which as you can see, the previous was 1.3%, forecast was 0.8. So even in that regard, I think the assumption is going to be largely negative, but oddly enough, it came in at 0.1. So that is a huge blow. And in reality, that's what a lot of people have been saying, is the housing market is in a bubble or whatever you want to call it. And that is going to be the first to go and ultimately prompt us into a recession. So unfortunately, this data does kind of coincide with that. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Outside of that though, Morgan Stanley, which unfortunately is one of the bearish institutions out there, they are now saying that the new recession, as far as a canary within the coal mine scenario, is the junk bonds. And since right now they're actually saying that junk bonds have made it to actually 1 trillion. So in general, that is a very, very big blow. And if that does actually happen, then we might go down very, very aggressively. But like I always say, there's a lot of news that does come out for that, and a lot of that isn't even relatable to SoFi. So in obviously the bond case, SoFi is not really relevant for that. In the housing market though, hypothetically, SoFi has been really pushing its mortgages. We all know that, but in reality, the more actual risk or involvement in the mortgage and the housing market, that potentially could hurt SoFi down the line. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But like I said, I think there is a huge amount of value in SoFi. This is why you do continue to see a huge amount of institutional purchasing behind the scenes. Obviously, if we were on a brink of a massive recession, then institutions would not be purchasing to the same level. Outside of that though, technicals are breaking down right now below all the moving averages. Even stochastic, as low as it is and as oversold as it is, we still do now have a deviation, so red line above the black. So we might have another scenario. It does appear as like right this scenario or even here. So potentially we could go quite down, even sub $5, which again would be that reverse stock split scenario. Number of retail investors are getting out, as you can see based on the momentum indicator. So a lot of fear out in the market. So let me know if you are a buyer at this stage, or if you are kind of just getting out. Let me know how your sentiment is and what you're actually thinking about, because like I said, unfortunately, when it comes down to a sentiment of a stock, if a stock for instance has a good upside potential, just is unable to hold gains, the amount of retail investors willing to hold it long term kind of just goes down, because based on opportunity cost, if you know it's ultimately just going to go down or just go through very traditional cycles, then there's no advantage to actually holding it long term. Again, that's a little bit more of a backwards mentality, but I do see a lot of people now talking about that, saying no matter what, why would I buy it, because it's just going to go down. In reality though, we all know SoFi is going to do a lot of good things. We just don't know when it will go up. The market's in a little bit more of a bear scenario, and it just wants to ultimately go down. So it does suck in the grand scheme of things. I just want to give you a quick update on some short information as of right now, because over the last couple of days, the shorts have been really wanting to take this below $5, and no different than today. So right now they are increasing 1.67 million shares, which works out to be 1.39%. So clearly a lot of big money is still buying, but on the contrary though, shorts are really wanting to take this below $5. So in case you do not know though, if SoFi for instance does get below the $5 mark for 10 consecutive days, a lot of institutions, more specifically strategic entities that are either trading on margin or based on their investing stance, they will be forced to sell SoFi. So that's a pretty significant thing. I do believe it works out to be roughly about 194 million shares that potentially would have to be sold, which would be detrimental to SoFi. So this is why they did do a reverse split to avoid that tentative selling. So again, it kind of sucks, but it's beneficial if you want to think about that. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. Me particularly though, I'm a buyer at this stage and I have been buying over the last little bit. I did get my average down to, I believe it's $7.61, which in reality is still very impressive. I do like that. So I'm going to be holding long term. I know what I decided to buy, and in the grand scheme of things, a lot of good things are going to come. So with all that, don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe is always greatly appreciated. And with that said, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on SoFi.